a trauma memory is a type of, it's a specific emotional structure that includes the representation of the stimuli that were during and even after the trauma. That during the trauma is then, part of what happened after the trauma. Physiological and behavioral responses that occur during the trauma, and then the meaning that is associated. And the associations among the stimuli responses and meaning are maybe realistic or unrealistic. And that's kind of a big word, so I'm going to this is a patient of mine. It doesn't look like a patient, but it's a representation of the emotional, the memory, and so I shortly after the rape, I didn't see her shortly after the rape. That's from the theory, I imagined what happened to her. I saw her 2.5 years later. And many people with PTSD don't come the first week or two, or even a year, because they think, oh, it will go away. So they usually you see them later. So this woman, she lived very close to where I live, a suburb of Philadelphia. It's a very safe suburb. My children were riding bicycles there. I never worried about it. But rape can happen in safe places as well, neighborhood as well. And this guy, she had a big air conditioning in her window in the living room at the time that it was still. And he managed to get unspool the air conditioning and get into the house through the hall. And so here's a man, and the man is tall and bald. He has a gun, and he says, well, I'm going to shoot you. And you can see here two types of lines. These are solid yellow lines, and these are broken green lines. The solid lines represent the meaning and the association is realistic. That's really what happened. The man really was tall, he really was bald, he really has a gun, he really said, I'm going to shoot you if you don't do what I want. But, and the rape is dangerous, here is the meaning, right? Gun is dangerous, that's realistic, shooting is dangerous. But for this woman, tall men and bald men, all tall men and bald men are dangerous. And I represent it as, is that this association is not realistic. Why is it not realistic? Not all tall and bald men will rape you and shoot you, and small men with lots of hair can also rape you and shoot you. So that is a generalization that is, it's not represent reality correctly. Her home now, she moved to with her parents. They repaired the house, they didn't put back the air conditioning, they put an alarm system, but she wouldn't go. And she stayed with her parents and wouldn't go even to the suburbs because for her, being alone now is dangerous. The suburbs is dangerous, the home is dangerous, the entire world is dangerous. Right? And that, in the beginning, after a traumatic event, that's actually quite normal, quite common, that you feel shaken, after a traumatic event, and everything looks like, like you can die any minute. I mean, the world is not a safe place. Even after a traffic accident, you're shaken and you feel, you start to be afraid of cars and riding, and you feel, I could die in a minute, right? And so that's not unusual at the beginning. On this side, there is her representation of what this guy said PTSD symptoms, like, you know, like that people feel that they are weakness. You know, why can't I just get over it? And so what you see here is that there are two things that are happening immediately after. That you feel that you can do better, that it's your fault, that, you know, if you did this or this or not this, if you didn't drive so fast, if you were, you know, if you paid attention to it more, if you didn't have an air conditioning like this, right, which is stupid, right, then all of it would not